And Gulf nations are not the only ones who are picking between America and China. South Korea faces the same question. Do they shun China or do they try a delicate balancing act? On social media, the verdict is clear. Crush communism. That's the new hashtag in South Korea. Crush communism. It was first posted by a retail mogul. But since then, South Korea's conservative politicians have embraced it, including this man, Yoon Suk-yeol. He's a candidate for the presidential election later this year. Now, this hashtag talks about crushing communism, but the target is not the ideology. The target clearly is China. I'll give you a short history lesson. Crushing communism was a catchphrase of the Cold War. South Korea was backed by the US and North Korea was backed by the Soviet Union back in the day. So needless to say, communism was not popular in the South. Cut to 1991, the Soviet Union disappeared, and along with it, the catchphrase. So why has it made a comeback? Because there is a new communist power in town, and that is China. Just like the Soviets, China backs North Korea. But there is one key difference. South Korea and China are not enemies, at least not on paper. You see, South Korea follows a policy of strategic ambiguity. They host American troops, but they also import from China. They buy weapons from the US, but they also invest their money in China. In other words, they play both sides. And there are two reasons behind this policy. One, they need the money. China is by far Seoul's largest trading partner. In 2018, they were buying goods worth $160 billion. And reason number two, they need China to contain North Korea. Earlier today, Pyongyang tested a ballistic missile. It was their second test in 7 days. The fact is, a rogue North Korea is an existential threat for the South. And who can contain this threat? The best bet is China, which is why South Korea's ruling party does not want to antagonize Beijing. President Moon Jae-in is trying to sign a peace deal with the North. He's hoping to denuclearize the Korean peninsula, and to do that, he needs the help of China. But his rivals are saying the very opposite. They say, enough with the middle ground. It's time to join the American bandwagon. The question is, which side will prevail? We'll have the answer in a couple of months. South Korea's elections are slated for March 2022. The Conservatives are looking to regroup after the collapse in 2017. You may remember the controversy around former President Park Geun-hye. Following that, they were routed at the polls. They're hoping for a comeback. And for the record, it's not just South Korea that is dealing with this problem. Most countries are having trouble choosing. The Gulf nations, as we just showed you, the Europeans, they're all confused. On one side, their traditional ties with the US. On the other, the prospect of Chinese money. Let's look at the European Union, for instance. They condemn China's Uyghur genocide. They criticize the crackdown in Hong Kong. But they refuse to abandon Beijing. That's because China is the EU's largest trading partner. In 2020, total trade was worth $711 billion. Clearly, the money is making Europe forget ideology. For Asian countries, it's not just the money, it's also security. Just think about Japan or the ASEAN countries. They condemn China's piracy in the South China Sea, but they still buy Chinese goods. They stop short of joining the opposing camp. Because if they do, China will respond, maybe send warships to their waters or violate their airspace. This fear is keeping most countries on the fence. What we call strategic ambiguity is in fact fear of Chinese retaliation. Europe fears losing the Chinese market. South Korea and Japan fear losing their sovereignty. During the Cold War, there was a clear ideological rivalry: socialism versus capitalism, autocracy versus democracy. Today, those lines are blurred. Do we really believe that China is a communist country? Today's China. Is it a communist country? I mean, look at the numbers. Mainland China has 53 lakh millionaires. Economic inequality is worse than Europe. So this is not about communism anymore. It's about democracy. On one side is the Alliance of Free Democracies. On the other, we have China. And I know this is a politically tough call. We're talking about billions of dollars in trade, huge investments. So abandoning China may sound hard. But let me simplify it for you. I'll borrow one of Desmond Tutu's famous quotes. This is what he said. If you're neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Don't hate communism. Hate the power-hungry men who weaponize communism. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.